What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I am so blessed that you are here. You guys have been an amazing audience, and you know that I go around this amazing planet finding the best humans I can find to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. I found such a good human, and I can't wait for you to speak to him. His name is Mike Beverly. He's a passionate holistic health educator, a business coach and mentor. He has a new podcast, Health and Biz Bites, where he chronicles his entry into health and wellness space. And he is due to release his book, Hardcore Love and Strife in a Highly Dysfunctional Family. We don't know anything about dysfunctional families, right, guys? So I am so stoked that you are here, Mike. I cannot wait for your book to come out. I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much for being on Straight Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Nina. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I'm so glad you're here. I really, yeah, I think we met on a Zoom call really quickly. We connected. It was really, really a joy. So I'm really glad that you're here. And the first way I like to start this show, Mike, is I like to ask, who is Mike? And I know that's a heavy question, but go ahead and take it and tell me whatever you come up with. We'll go from there. Who is Mike?
Well, Mike today is a totally different person than he was 2.5 years ago because in March of 2020, when I went through a near death experience due to a health challenge that I had, I literally thought I was going to die. And it was a pretty serious situation where I had a major blood loss and lost well over 50%. They estimated when I got to the
Wow.
emergency room that it was between 55 and 60% of my blood that I'd lost due to some internal bleeding. And they tried everything to get that stopped, but no one could. But mysteriously, the third night in the hospital, the bleeding stopped. Well,
Mm.
you and I know, as strong believers,
Mhm.
Nina, who the great healer was that stopped that
That's
bleeding.
right. That's
And
right.
but when I got out of the hospital, I was so anemic I could not function. I was sleeping around the clock. And after about 10 days of that, I literally was very fearful that it was my time to die. And
Mhm.
my wife I know was monitoring me every so often, make sure I was still breathing while I was sleeping because I was sleeping around the clock,
Yeah.
becoming very depressed. And my conversation with God was, I slept 26 hours in a row, and my
Wow.
conversation was, God, I feel like it's my time. You're giving me some strong signals here that it's my time to go, and I'm ready. I know I'll be in your loving arms, but I've got 7 grandkids. I'd like to see a couple of them graduate from high school, and
Aw.
if you'll grant me a little more time, I promise to be more faithful. I promise to study your word more. And he granted me that prayer, Nina, and I'm here today, blessed man, and get to spoil my grandkids for a whole year
Aw.
older. So I feel incredibly blessed because the person today versus when I went through that, and I have to admit I was not as faithful as I am now, and I didn't
Mhm.
appreciate life the way I do now. So
Mhm.
I grasp and am grateful for every moment of every day.
That's so powerful, Mike. And you know what's really powerful is people who don't believe don't understand that when you go through something extremely hard, you have a choice. And the choice is you can turn from God completely and just decide there's no God because you're mad, right? Or you lean in, even though we struggle as believers, right, Mike? I mean, you struggle. I mean, it's like you said, I went through some depression. I went through some, fear of losing my life, things like that. But there's always a choice you make, whether you're going to lean in towards God and let him guide you through that, or you're going to be angry with him, or decide that you don't want to believe anymore. My husband, just a quick little story, was supposed to die in 2002. He had a brain tumor that they said was inoperable and that there was nothing they could do about it and that they gave him about a year to live. And it is now 2022 and he's still driving me crazy. So obviously that did not happen. Thank you, Jesus. But it was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of, believing. It was a lot of leaning in. It was a lot of trusting God. And a year later, when we went back to get all of his MRIs and stuff like that, it was gone. It was like non-existent. Right? So I get it when you say about appreciating life, leaning further in, really understanding that God is really there, like that kind of stuff. So that's such a great, and I know you don't want to go through it again type of story, right? It's one of those stories.
No, no, and I do not want to put my wife through that again either. So,
Yeah, yeah,
because I mean, I know she's a very strong woman, and doesn't let many things affect her. But I got to know that had to be extremely stressful for
yeah,
her during that.
yeah, for sure. Now, did you just to go back a little bit, did you see your grandchildren like graduate and stuff? And do you still only have seven?
We still only have seven, and the oldest was 15 at the time. She just turned 17 on September 12th,
Oh,
and
good.
so I will get to see her graduate. I feel very confident that's going to happen.
That's
But
awesome.
I also I have an amazing. I've had these visions about her getting married, and a
Oh,
wonderful story when she was 3 that I've already told her. I said, I'm going to embarrass you at your wedding, Bella, because I'm going to tell the story when you were 3 and you were riding in the vehicle with us, and my wife tried to get her to, because I asked her. I said, Bella, what are you going to be when you grow up? And she goes, she does this thing, and so my wife said, Bella, tell Grandpa what you want to be when you grow up. And her story, she did this. She goes, I'm just too tired to think right now, Grandma.
at three. Okay.
At 3. So I
Smarty
told her, I said,
pants.
that's going to be my story at your wedding. So
That's so cute. So tell me about all this great stuff now, because you went through that and you decided you said you have a really appreciation for life now, right? So
exactly.
tell me, like, how did you start to become better? How did you get better health wise? What was that journey about for you?
Well, it was another the thin threads that God puts together for things to happen. I was in a men's study group that I had agreed to be in at the end of 2019. This was March of 2020, and we had Monday night Zooms because of COVID, obviously, and so I missed it for about a month. And when I finally got on, I literally in bed held the phone up like this to get on the Zoom and told my story. And an amazing gentleman that was in that men's study group from North Carolina shared about a new medical health technology that had been out on the market for 12, 13 years that had saved his wife's life from a major brain aneurysm. He said, I
Mm,
want, I want to share this with you. And and he did. And that health technology, Nina, turned my health around. The medical profession had told me it could take 6 months to possibly a year to get my hemoglobin and my iron back to normal where I could function.
right. Mm-hmm.
And literally in 7 weeks of using this new technology, which
Wow.
is completely holistic, non-toxic, natural, and native to the body, um, I had my health back in 7 weeks, and
Wow.
it literally blew the doctor's minds. And
Mm-hmm.
and so at that point, I did the natural thing. I wanted to talk about it to other people, namely some family. And my sister-in-law had been suffering with migraines, I mean chronic migraines for 25 years. And I shared it with her. Her first response was, Mike, it won't work. I've tried everything, every clinical trial of every new
Mm,
drug that's come out for migraines. I've tried. I've even done Botox 20 times. And Nina, I didn't know people did Botox for migraines,
yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but they do.
Yes, they
And
do.
she had done it 20 times. And she said, it will not work for me. I said, and her name is Neena as well, spelled the same way. I said, Neena, it's worth a try. She said, okay. Well, in 60 days, she stopped having migraines. And she's not
Wow.
had a migraine in over 2 years now. And one thing led to another. She posted on Facebook about that in a group with like 20,000 people in that group. And I started getting calls from people all over the world, Western Australia, Germany, Italy, I mean, all over the world, calls. In the
Wow.
middle of the night, even people are calling me, you know. So it one thing led to another. And all the while this was going on, a 22-year-old traditional business that my wife and I had worked, hard, hard blood, sweat, and tears for 22 years to build because it was school related in the school fundraising industry.
Okay.
We lost 95% of our business in 20
Right. Right.
because schools were closed.
Hmm.
Well, this saying is God doesn't shut one door unless he opens another one.
Open another. That's right.
And this, my health challenge was what he was preparing me for, was to
Wow.
find this so that I can help other people all over the world with all types of challenges that they're suffering with or dealing with. And it's been a true blessing. And now it's funny, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who he and I started teaching together. He retired. He asked me, when are you going to retire, Mike? And I said, I don't think I will, John. He said, now come on, you're our same age. He's 68, I'm 69. He said, you got to retire sometime. I said, well, if I had to put a time or an age on it, I think I'll pick 95.
Right. Right. I mean, especially for you, Mike, right? Because you have a unique perspective that some of us don't have, which is almost losing your life like that, right? So to you, it's like I'm not stopping till God takes me or till I gotta stop, right? I mean, it's
Exactly.
a whole new perspective. So talk to me about how you're getting how you're helping people in their health. I know that you said that there's a technology and all of that, but I know that you're also like coaching and mentoring and all of that as well. So talk to me about that.
Well, that's the thing, and that's I think I think I reached out through Matchmaker.fm
Yeah, I
to
believe so.
yeah to meet you, but I meet a lot of people because I'm if you go to my LinkedIn profile, I have a newsletter. I put out a lot of content about health, wellness, living a more vital life, having mindset. I do a lot of mindset
Good.
content, and so people have reached out to me. I got approached by a lady in Indonesia just this past week who's a functional medicine doctor, and she
Hmm.
was a traditional MD. And when she and I had our Zoom, she admitted to me that in the 10 years that she was in traditional medicine, she didn't feel that the protocols and the pharmaceuticals that she was prescribing for her patients were being of much benefit to them. And when
Hmm.
she actually left Indonesia, went to Canada for a couple of years to do functional medicine training, and she says, I finally feel like I'm helping people.
Oh, that's good.
And so she reached out to me, which was, I felt so honored because I mean, I have a master's degree in music and I performed professionally at one point in my career, but I certainly don't have the smarts and the background in traditional medicine or even functional medicine that this
Hmm.
doctor does. But she was so impressed with my content that she reached out to me. And
That's awesome.
I was blown away by that. I really was blown away by that. But when she learned about this new technology that I am sharing with the world now, she she literally because this particular technology and products manufactured in Salt Lake City, she's considering flying from Jakarta, Indonesia, to
Wow.
Salt Lake City to meet with the scientists, to meet with the medical professionals that actually developed, patented this product, and won a Nobel Prize for Science because of its unique attributes to the human body that's
Right.
completely natural. And that was impressive to her as well. So,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that's kind of how it's all been driven. And it all started from my turnaround with my health. But I have to admit, my sister-in-law Neena. You Neenas can be troublemakers, you know.
Yes, we can. Yes, I understand that. And if you ever meet my husband, he will agree. Yes, he will agree.
so, I remember you referencing that in your book, but at any rate, she posted in Facebook, and it all started. You know, it all started. And while our traditional business of 22 plus years was dying because of COVID and no schools were open,
Right.
then all of a sudden, this whole new communication stream, this whole new business that came into my lap because of it all started with my health challenge. And
Right.
but my sister-in-law, I have to give her some of the blame and credit at the same time for that.
It's interesting too, right? Because you weren't even looking for something like this. You said you were, talking to, I think you said a men's group, right? And that's how that came about because
Yeah,
you were, yeah, because somebody mentioned it to you. Isn't that interesting how, how God will take something that could have destroyed you and turns it into the blessing that you need, right?
exactly.
So, and I know you've been through quite a few things in your life yourself. So, this medical, device, or I don't know, do we call it a medical device? Is that what you call it?
No,
No, right?
it's actually a technology.
A technology. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's a
that's it.
technology that is so fascinating because we all have um, uh, this in our human body called redox signaling molecules. It's made in every cell in every human body. But
Hmm.
after puberty, our mitochondria that creates the energy in our bodies, the
Hmm.
ATP from the mitochondria, it starts being less efficient after puberty. And you make less redox signaling molecules after puberty, about 10% every decade we age. And
Okay.
the scientists that finally figured out how to duplicate what goes on inside the human cell, he won a Nobel Prize because for decades the medical science industry and the medical research industry said it's impossible to do what goes on
Right.
inside the human cell. Well, he did it.
Right.
He did it.
Right. Right.
And now, for the first time in human history, we can put these molecules back into our body, reverse aging, and put our body back in a healing state, just like we did when we were little boys and little girls. And
Okay.
and that's
That's
why
interesting.
at 69, the traditional medical industry, when I did blood work 3 months ago, said, Mike, what are you doing? And again,
Mm.
I said, why are you asking? You have the blood work of a 25-year-old. We can't believe how good your blood work is and how good you look. And you're telling me you're riding your bike 8 miles a day up and down hills at 69 years old.
Right.
So that's why. That's why.
So, is it something that you use on a daily basis, or is it something you only used when you weren't feeling well? How does that work?
To keep your cellular homeostasis, and people that know a little bit about science know that terminology, to keep your cellular homeostasis balanced so that you feel good, have good vitality and good energy from morning till night. You do it every day.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is your wife fighting you for the technology?
She is on it. She is on
That's what I thought. She's
it.
like, if you're gonna live, Mike, I'm gonna live.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And here's the funny thing, Nina. My wife was the worst sleeper. She could not sleep. I mean, a leaf would fall from the tree outside our bedroom, and she would wake. Okay. Well, in 30 days, she started sleeping so well for the first time in our married life. She
That's
snores
awesome.
like a lumberjack.
You want to take that technology away from her now, I bet.
Well, because about 10 years ago, when I was 80 pounds heavier than I am now, I snored like a lumberjack, and she would have to leave the master
Right, right,
bedroom
right,
and go to
right,
the guest bedroom. She said, okay, I'm paying you back now. I'm paying
right,
you back.
right. So is that a part of this life change for you as well? Was losing all of that weight, or that was beforehand? That was before. You said 10 years, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Did
yes.
they ever find out what caused your internal bleeding?
Yes, it was caused by a blood thinner that I was
Okay.
prescribed that now I understand has been taken off the market
Mm,
for two reasons. Number one, it caused a lot of deaths, and I came close to being one of those fatalities.
yeah.
but it's the only blood thinner that's ever been on the market where there was no antidote or no way of stopping the bleeding if you
Oh,
started
wow.
the bleeding. So
Wow.
they prescribed that to me uh,
Wow.
because I had a stent put in January 2020, and
Mhm.
they always give you blood thinners when you have stents or any kind of heart procedure like that. And they gave me one that was highly experimental and is now off the market because of the damage that it's caused to the general public. And like I said, I came very close to being one of those fatalities. And they literally 6 days of in and out of medical facilities and finally in the emergency room, they couldn't stop it.
Yeah,
And
I can imagine. Wow.
in the middle of the night, my third or fourth night in the hospital, it stopped. And it was like, whoa.
Wow. It's a
Yeah,
miracle. That's a
yeah,
miracle.
it was.
Yeah.
It certainly was.
Yeah. So what is your biggest message right now to people who are listening, or the people that you go and speak to, or you're mentoring? What is it that you want people to walk away with?
What I want people to do, and that's when you listen to my podcast, the first couple of episodes talks about how, like episode number 2, I think was titled "Why Should We Question Our Healthcare Providers?" I think I
That's a
may have
good one. That's a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, and part of that is some family members that are going through some things right now, and when we question them about, have you looked into the side effects of that medication? And the answer was no, I trust my doctor.
Right.
And so my biggest takeaway I would say to your listeners, Neena, is be sure to find out and ask questions.
Mhm.
Do not
Mhm.
blindly trust anyone,
Mhm.
especially regarding your health, because
Right.
there's so many side effects, to these prescription drugs. And I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not here to besmirk the medical industry because it's I've certainly benefited from it for sure,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I am in my podcast. I am encouraging people to seek out holistic healers, seek out integrative medicine
I agree.
specialists,
I agree.
naturopaths, functional medicine people, and you know, and don't just go in and let them treat you quickly with a medication. I spoke with a person who finally, after years and years of trusting their medical doctor, went to an integrative medicine specialist, and the first consult was 2 hours.
Mhm.
two
Mhm.
hours. And
Mhm.
and she said, I finally feel like I'm being listened to as a
Yeah.
human for the
Yep.
first time.
Yep.
And so my encouragement would be, and my passion is to get the message out that we have to do that,
Yeah.
to preserve our own sanity and
Yeah.
our own health. Uh,
Yeah. Your own life, literally, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. I went to like 5 different specialists when I was having severe pain that nobody can figure out. And they still couldn't figure it out after 5 different specialists, and they tried me on some medications that were not good. But I went to a naturopath and she found it. Like she found it
Right,
like right
right.
away. And I was able to, show my doctor what she had tested for. He goes, "Oh my gosh, you have Sjogren's? Oh, you have this, you have." I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah. I went to 5 of you guys. 5." And
Mhm,
my naturopath found it in just one blood work, because they look at the cellular level, like you were talking about. They
mhm.
look at the cellular level, right? So I'm really excited about what you're doing out here and really helping people, especially Mike, because you are firsthand knowing, what this, what medication did to you, but also what it meant to fight through to get healed. Because I'm sure that was a battle. I'm sure that wasn't a very easy thing. That was a battle. But to think that you were able to beat something that the medical doctors were giving you a year to beat in 7 weeks, right? So
Yeah,
I see now why you're passionate about going out there and telling people about what you're doing, and having your podcast. Your book is coming out too, right?
right,
You
right.
want to share a little bit about the book?
Well, the book, it's interesting how it all came about. Um, I have written this book 20 times in the last 40 years, mentally, mentally.
Right,
My
right.
wife and I celebrate our 20th anniversary um, November 9th. And so she would hear me tell these stories about my upbringing and things that we went through. And she'd say, "You need to write the book. You need to write the book." Well, I'm in a mastermind coaching program. We have a book of the month, and there's a book called Everyday Legacy by Cody Shawan. Uh,
Mm.
Amazing book. Cody grew up as a funeral director. He was either in sales, funeral sales, ultimately became a funeral director. And his book is about these people would come in to make preparations for the passing of their mother, their father. And he said over and over all the time I heard, "I wish I would have spent a little more time with mom. I,
Mm.
I wish I'd have said this to grandpa. I wish I'd have, all these wishes of what they should have done or wish they had done." So, and he talks about his grandmother and how she protected him because his father, when he was 3, took off and left his mom and him to fend for themselves.
Mm.
And his grandmother, the mother of that good for nothing guy that took off, protected him and supported him
Oh.
financially and all of that. So as he was telling that story, it brought back memories of my grandfather and how he protected me when I was a little boy from my brutal father. And
Mm-hmm.
on my birthday, June 18th, I started writing because on the day before I just finished Cody's book.
Mm-hmm.
And on June 18th, my birthday, I started writing at 7 a.m. And at 2 p.m., my wife came in and said, "You better get dressed and a shower because you're going to miss your birthday celebration."
Right.
Because our youngest son was taking me to my favorite Italian restaurant in Orlando, which is an hour away. But I had written for 7 hours about
Wow.
stuff that I went through as a child and what my dad did to me and my mom. My mom, the things he did to my mom's just you'll hear
Mm.
you'll read it in the book. But on the way down to my birthday celebration, my wife was driving and she looked over and she said, "How you doing?" And I said, I'm doing pretty good." She said, "You just have a piece about you that I have not seen in a while." And I said,
Oh.
"What I have done the last 7 hours this morning," because I wrote about half the book in 7 hours.
Right.
And and I said, "I've had a soul cleansing that
Yes.
I never thought I would have, because I've told stories from the what I've experienced to various family members, and my wife's heard them all, and but it was just I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine as you're writing your book that had to be
Yes.
a,
Very cathartic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
That's awesome. So it's an autobiography.
it is in a way, yes, I guess it is in a way, but it's my story of growing up, in a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
small little country town in Virginia, growing up, um, on an apple farm, and I had an epiphany 6 months ago about the book title. I'm in the shower and I go, okay, what am I going to name this book when I get to write it? And
That's
so
where I got my inspiration too. That's so funny.
so here I'm in the shower and I think, oh gosh, I can imagine an apple core on the picture on the cover of the book. So the book's got to be called Hardcore.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's
That's
how I came
good.
up with it, and I don't have the graphics yet, but I can picture it in my mind.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to pick that up. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and, inspiring others, especially in the health and wellness space, because I think, a lot of us, are really seeking for, people to be more healthier, for us to be more healthier, right? And when there's people that have been through stuff where they've almost lost their lives, there's no one more passionate, about speaking about something than somebody who's been there, right? And you
right,
almost lost your life, so you know exactly what it means to someone when they're in a place of not feeling well, of not thinking they're going to make it. So, Mike, that's really inspiring. So thank you for sharing all of that. And, before I wrap up here, I always like to let people know, how they can, contact you and talk to you about this medical technology that you have, or the technology that you're using, the health technology, and the mindset stuff and the coaching and the mentoring and all that great stuff that you do. So can you give us all that information so people know where to find you and do and work with you?
Well, sure, sure. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Mike Beverly on LinkedIn. But my website is almost done. I got about another week, and the website will be done. I don't know if I could give them the website address, but if,
Yeah, because this won't come out for a few weeks, so please
okay,
do.
okay, cool, cool. Yeah, it's Mike Beverly dot life, MikeBeverly dot life, LIFE is my website,
Okay,
and that'll be active in about a week. So you can
awesome.
reach out there, or go to Spotify and check out Health and Biz Bites with Mike
Yes,
Beverly, and appreciate your listen. And if you are inclined, leave me a 5-star review. I appreciate that, and follow me.
yeah,
I'll look forward to catching back up with you, but happy to schedule a free consultation. And my scheduling link, if you would like for me to give that, Neen, as
sure.
well, is Calendly, CALENDLY.com / better vitality.
That is so awesome. And I love that your website ends with life. Of course it does. Of course it does, Mike. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on Straight Talk. I appreciate you. And I always try to speak to people who I know are going to speak to my audience. And I know that you did that. So thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful. Thank you.
I am grateful to you and for what you are offering the world, and I'm so happy to read your book and hear your story. And I think we're sisters and brothers here. It's
Yes, yes, yes. Amen to that. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you guys so much. And I told you I find the best humans on the planet. And here is one for you, Mike Beverly. So make sure that you go onto his website. Please do follow him on LinkedIn as well. And make sure that you guys who are maybe even thinking about functional medicine, or, looking into something that's going to make you feel better. I mean, like he said, even the other Neena, the other pain Neena, had migraines and she got better as well. So this is like stuff you really should think about, instead of running to medicine first. Maybe there's a way to do this naturally and help yourself really heal from the inside out. So I am super grateful for Mike and all the information he shared, and you guys for always being so darn supportive. Thank you guys for being here. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Until next time.